You're listening to the Decorate Podcast with Patrick Ali and Chad Poole.
There it is, just that smooth, silky jazz.
You love that.
I do like that. I mean, it took it. I mean, you realize, like, when we started, like, how much we've developed that already.
How long did it take you to find that video?
About 20 minutes.
Really?
No, it really did. So when I was searching for intro music, I picked out like 4 or 5. That was the first one that I picked because I wanted that. Because we talked about it, that having that Motown feel.
Yeah.
And then I picked about 4 or 5 other ones, and over like 2.5 months, that one just kept coming back. And the reason why I kept it in there, the reason why I thought about it or to keep it, is that I heard as we were like developing the intro. This was like when we were still working from home too. My wife's grandmother maybe. Okay. I heard her like humming the soundtrack because she'd heard it so many times.
Really?
From me just kind of like overplaying it. So she did it, and I was like, "That's the one. We gotta use that," and then we just develop it.
Grandmother-in-law's approval.
We got the grandmother-in-law's approval, and the silky pipes that are in there. That's obviously Just Rob.
Yes.
Just Rob was not here with us today. He's out of the office today.
So if this looks bad at all.
So if this looks bad, I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Rob.
Rob.
You're gonna have to deal with it.
You're gonna have to deal. But today's pretty exciting.
Yes.
Do you wanna introduce our guest?
Well, I was going to talk about what happened to me earlier, but...
Oh, yeah, no, talk about that first.
No,
sorry, Russ.
I just subjected myself.
Standing by.
So, for one, my boss just told me I have mustard-colored pants on.
Yep, well, you do.
And number 2...
I'm pretty sure you said from Baby Gap, too.
Yeah, thanks. Number 2, this morning I was at our production center, where we produce most of our retail from changing a cap top, which, for those that don't know, a cap top is basically... It's like a pen cap for your printer. It keeps the print head nice and it prevents it from drying out.
Yep.
And when I replaced it, I didn't realize that, oh shoot, YouTube day, nice clothes, and for whatever reason, the thing just spit at me like a damn cobra.
Yeah,
I just got ink. White shoes.
Started hemorrhaging.
Yeah. White shoes, mustard pants.
Well, and you know what
now tie-dye.
I feel like it's a bad omen, too, because I talked to you yesterday about it. You held a great VersaCam class.
Thank you.
And we were talking about the ink, like, what if it just started hemorrhaging? Because it's, once you have the cap off of there, all of those inks and those, those tubes are just, they're there. So if they blow up, you're donezo.
Very aware.
Yeah, so I'm sorry that happened to you, but it looks good.
It's okay. It's a fashion statement.
So were you
Speaking of fashion statements.
Yeah. Go for it.
We got a guy in the house that might know something about that.
Maybe 1 or 2 things.
Maybe a thing or 2.
You know anything about fashion?
Maybe.
We
can call it a strong maybe.
We got the next 40 minutes to figure it out.
Perfect. Yes. No, we have Russ Corey on from SanMar, ladies and gents. Big old round of applause there.
I told him that we had to do the blue for SanMar.
I appreciate that.
We trained Beatrice the blue.
It's not the same, but that's okay.
It's not the same blue, but at least it's,
we can work with that.
I can't do anything right.
No, we can work with that.
Russ, what's going on, man?
How you doing? It's great to be here.
Oh, well, thank you for coming. For those people that don't know, I worked with Russ for many years, former colleague of mine, so I'm sure we'll pick on each other throughout the show, as we always do. But from my understanding, you're with a new role.
New role.
Yeah.
New company.
New company. Going on a year now.
Where are you at?
I'm over at SanMar.
Nice. Shout out SanMar.
Yes, shout out SanMar.
I think everybody, well, maybe not everybody knows what SanMar is, so why don't we explain a little bit what SanMar is.
So SanMar is a clothing distributor for decorated apparel, and one of the country's biggest suppliers across the board, supplying everything from screen printers, embroiderers, internet retail, contract decorators, and we've got a wide variety of apparel, going from T-shirts, jackets, bags, you name it. We've pretty much got it all.
That's awesome. And just to clarify, though, Jason Murphy, this was his explanation of SanMar. We got T-shirts, man.
Yeah, just T-shirts.
We got T-shirts.
Small T-shirt shop.
We're just a small-time T-shirt shop, no big deal.
2 T-shirts laying around.
Just a speck on the map.
That's awesome. So at SanMar, and what is your role at SanMar?
So my role started a year ago. I was hired in for decorator relations.
Okay.
And that role quickly changed. We rolled in our internet group as well. So
Yeah.
big budding territory right there.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going internet related sales, and
Yeah.
we needed to really focus a little bit on that. So there's some similarities with the decorator relations groups and the people that are doing that stuff,
Yeah.
as well as the online retailers. So it seemed to make sense as a logical merge.
Yeah.
And from that, my responsibility and my role has greatly improved. A little out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of years kind of helping troubleshoot on the heat press decorating side, as well as going into shops in my role and just helping out with anything that I see as far as a solution.
Yeah.
It could be anything from point of sale layout for stores.
Yeah.
Just, hey, this is what I've seen somewhere else. Let's try this. Let's see what's working, what's not. And so now we're on to the internet side. Yeah.
And interesting enough, working retail, like you really don't understand how much goes into a simple like store setup.
Absolutely.
Just placement, and there's like a whole psychological benefit to like the way that your store is laid out and the way that what garments or even food industry, whatever's out there in your store, there's a specific reason that it's there. So it's really, really interesting to me, and that must be like super complicated.
Dude, have you ever been to TJ Maxx or
Yeah.
Marshalls?
Oh yeah.
And you think you have everything in your hand,
We
and you wait in
talked
that
about this,
giant
yeah.
long checkout line, and they've got like sweet headphones,
Yep.
and you end up with like 5 more things.
They put the headphones in cologne and wallets up front.
Yep, they get you.
It's smart.
Every time.
It's smart. Talk about how that works. I mean, there's obviously a psychology that goes along with it. Is that something that you develop over time, or is that something that you kind of tailor to each customer? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly learned over time, right?
Yeah.
You get to experience a wide variety of stores, right? Some of them are professionally merchandised, and they're along those lines, right, of a Nike store or something like that. There's people that really take it that far. Well, then there's the other, and let's just call them the mom and pops, right?
Yeah.
They've got a business, they've spent their time building that business, and not so much the psychology behind it. So they're easily adaptable and say, hey, you know what? If you move this over here, or in the case of you guys were talking earlier about building your business.
Yeah.
You got a direct-to-garment printer, or sorry, not direct-to-garment, wide format printer.
Mm-hmm.
You're printing out decals all day long. Just a pile of those right on the counter when they
Right
check
there.
out.
Yeah.
Even if it's just your company logo and you're throwing it in the bag as a thank you.
Yeah.
Or selling something there for another couple bucks.
Yeah.
So very little markup or very little cost in that, and there you go, right?
So a little bit of the insight, and also we know that Russ listens to our podcast.
Absolutely.
Yes.
One more subscriber.
One more subscriber. Here we come,
And
Yubi.
we're not one of Chad's relatives.
And we're not-
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Well, it's funny that you said that because I remember going on a trip with you. We've traveled many, many times. So that's like a podcast after dark episode.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Which we thought about doing, so we might pull you back in.
Let's do it from the boat.
From the boat.
boat.
From the boat.
Yes.
Yes, perfect. I like it.
No, but I remember going to see this customer in Ohio one time, and they were very, very big in high school sports.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had the market, and you walked in there, and they had anything related to that team was on display. So details, everything right by the register, because it was almost like a school store there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it's interesting that you'd mentioned that, because I remember that shop specifically. I think it was in like Findlay or something like that. But,
Yeah. Shout out shop in Findlay, Ohio. We'll find the name. And we'll
It
shout
may
out.
not be. I don't even know where
It
was.
could be in Sarnia. We
It
don't
was
know.
down in state. So
Somewhere in northern Ohio.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere. Hey, it could have been, listen, it could have been in
Like-
Nebraska talking to him.
well,
so.
no, I know when I'm in Ohio.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I know when I'm in
If you
Ohio.
really want to give a shout out, I'll give you the name.
Let's do it
All right.
properly.
It's
please.
Becky over at River Ridge Creations.
River
Shout
Ridge,
out
that was
Becky.
it.
Yeah.
No, she did a great job. She was doing embroidery. She had wide formats. She had, I don't remember if she had DTG or not.
Screen print upstairs.
Screen print upstairs. But she had, I was interested in the embroidery and screen print side, and she actually lent some time for her employees to kind of give me a run around. And
That's
I was
awesome.
very gracious for her. So
Yeah.
while I was there, she was also saying, "Hey, look at my wide format." She was so
I
it
like-
was a twofer.
I like those ones on the road though that they bring you in right away. There's no reason, no political reason of why they're trying to have you in their shop, but they just want to be a part of what you're doing, and they want to teach you and They want to learn you a thing or two, which I always think is cool. I always think it's really, really
Right.
awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know Patrick wanted to ask you a little bit about how you got in the industry.
Yeah.
I will just tell you that he was a cowboy playing ice hockey in Oklahoma.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Whoa, hold on.
Roping.
Just because I didn't understand it, that's why I gave you the
Yeah,
credit.
he was
So
literally.
you're a cowboy playing hockey.
All right, so we're going to talk about me getting into this industry, all right? So
Okay.
this is going to be the story.
Here we go.
So born and
let me
raised
make
here.
sure. Yeah, I got 4 hours on
Oh,
that.
yeah, so that's
Let's do
about
it.
what it's going to take. Right? Eons are going to go by.
Yeah.
So I'm born and raised here in Michigan,
Mhm.
and growing up, you skate and play hockey
Oh, yeah.
outside. Well, I leave after graduation high school, and I go to Oklahoma to learn how to fix airplanes.
Okay.
That's my goal. I'm going to go fix airplanes.
Yeah.
So I go to school down there, and I land a job at a local ice rink.
Okay.
So I got the job because I knew how to skate.
Yeah.
Not too many skaters in
Not too many,
Not too
right?
many.
So, and there's a whole, you want to talk about after dark stuff, we can talk about
All right. There we go.
Probably not the best employee at the time, but
Yeah,
we had a lot of
right.
fun.
Yeah.
Listen.
Again, I was focused on airplanes.
Yeah.
So I landed this job. Long story short, I graduate, get my mechanic's license, and everything breaks up. Eastern goes bankrupt, Eastern Airlines.
Okay.
Pan Am goes bankrupt. Gulf War breaks out. Gulf War One,
Yeah.
1,000
Don't
years
date
ago.
yourself at all.
So I can't get a job in the airline industry because there's really no jobs to be had.
Yeah.
I stick with the ice rink.
Yeah.
I stick with sporting goods, and I move back over here. Another job at a sporting goods store at an ice rink, and never look back. So from there, I transitioned into the supply side.
Yeah.
And started working that way. Ended up in outside sales, traveling around, visiting customers.
Nice.
And then after honing my craft for 20-some years, I
Yeah.
decided to step up to the big leagues and play with SanMar for a
I
while.
like that.
So-
And they said, go on the internet.
yeah, and then they said, go on the internet. Get back in your basement.
Yeah.
We don't want you near anybody
Don't get in
else.
front of any customers.
He said
Just go on
before.
the internet.
He said before, and he got a face for radio, so that's
Yeah,
why.
and I
you
did.
know.
I think we all do it.
We're at in Michigan.
Where
Yeah,
am I?
yeah. Like, where'd you grow up?
Oh, I grew up right here in, I grew up in Utica, Shelby
okay.
Township. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
So,
right around the
you,
corner.
did you skate Fraser then? I would assume. or Mount
Absolutely,
Pleasant?
yeah, that's actually where I worked for quite a while. Was
Really?
at Fraser Ice Rink.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, you hopefully you don't remember me.
Did you? Well,
Let's just
you
say-
said Gulf War One.
Yeah,
How
I guess
old are
so.
you?
Well, yeah, 12.
1,000
Okay.
years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so when you were doing the ice rink stuff, did you learn decoration? Did you learn a lot from that kind of experience?
Well, absolutely. Well, down there, it was, that was where I got my first exposure on screen print. We had a series of shirts that were all for the ice arena that we handed out for birthdays. We had our regular corporate apparel that we sold, employee wear, and it was all, when I got to the point where I was running the place, it was, you had input in that. What are we wearing? What are we going to do? And again, 1,000 years ago, we had our skate guards out there with red suit jackets on and ties.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That is
so,
a look.
Yeah, it's a
Man,
hot
if they had
look. let
some
me tell
mustard
you.
pants on,
Yeah, exactly.
Bingo.
So,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
ketchup and mustard.
That's awesome. So where do you go? So you go from obviously Oklahoma. You come back to Michigan. You're working now, and doing territorial stuff. Now, are you traveling quite a bit in between, or how does that kind of play itself out?
Yeah, so I ended up getting the job and starting off in customer service.
Right,
really
right.
kind of cutting my teeth in the industry.
Yeah, yeah.
After a couple of years, I managed to get the outside sales role. And it was, well, for the longest time, it was a week on, week out. So
Yeah.
Wow.
get up on Monday, drive on out,
Yeah.
come back on Friday.
Where was your initial territory?
Initial territory was Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee.
Okay.
So that's drivable.
So reasonally close, at least. I mean, that's
Yes.
a lot of windshield time, regardless.
Yeah, tons
Yeah.
of windshield time, lots of tires. Yeah,
Lots of rest stops.
exactly. So,
Lots of Waffle Houses.
Lots of waffle.
Crackle barrels.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Cracker Barrel?
Waffle
No, it's
House,
not-
baby. Waffle House.
no,
that
see-
was going to be my this or that.
I only been to one Waffle House in my entire life, and it was down in I think it was in Virginia Beach, or it was down in Myrtle Beach.
As
one
soon
of
as
these
you
two.
get past Ohio, there's
They're
one in
everywhere.
every.
Yeah, but I'm a Cracker Barrel guy. I'll stop stop there before I stop anywhere
You guys
else.
are going to fight because apparently he just said Wawa.
Yeah, well, so, you know, your first experience with the Waffle House is generally not good,
Yes.
right? You know,
It's a little off-putting.
It's a little.
I'm
bit
sorry,
very-
don't demonetize us.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So it's a little bit, you know, like there's just something. There's an air. Let's just say it's an air.
Yep.
After you get used to it, you're like, it's kind of like home. It's like a warm blanket.
Yeah.
You're like, this is all
It's
right.
refreshing.
So.
See, that's how I say I'm like a Walmart, you know?
Yeah.
Just real rough around the edges at first, but then you let me warm up a little bit and I'm okay.
You get inside and you're like, there's a ton of stuff.
There's a ton of stuff in here. That's good.
It's the warm blanket, right?
Yeah,
Once
yeah.
you get used to it, it's like, I'm not
Yeah.
leaving. I'm comfortable.
So everyone, all the salespeople are territorial, or I mean, have their own territories, and you're basically pretty close to home for the most part, which is awesome. Explain kind of how your territory broke down, or how it worked when you were on the road. Were you required to hit so many shops at one time? Were you cold calling? Were you doing cold walk-ins?
Early on, it was
Yeah.
we were establishing the outside sales department. So
Okay.
I was one of the pioneers that way.
Nice.
And fortunately, the leadership at the time said, for the first year, don't worry about sales.
Yeah.
Go make the contacts. When you make the contacts,
Mhm.
build a relationship,
Yeah.
the sales will come.
Yeah.
I
Best
still
advice
believe
we
that.
ever had, right?
100%
So
believe that.
it worked out great.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was all, after you start to experience that success, it was all self-imposed.
Yeah.
On an average in certain cities, I could get 6 good visits in a day.
Yeah.
And then there was some extra windshield time, or something that I counted on being 45 minutes might be 20.
Yeah.
Because whatever, customers come in, they're just busy, something else
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
You don't want to overstay your welcome. Well, then you use that time, and I would, and this is going back again to the old phone books that were in
Yeah.
hotel rooms, I would tear pages out.
Uh-oh.
Oh, sorry. And I would actually travel with those. Hey, I'm in this area, let's swing by this one. And
Yeah.
throw in a catalog. And I had my customer list of anybody that ever bought anything. So if they bought one thing from me, $10, $50, they got a catalog, my business card, and a thank you.
That's
hey,
awesome.
Thanks for doing business with us. By the way, I cover this area. If I can ever help you out in the future, that's what I'm here for. And then I walk out the door.
Do you find that a lot of those people you still are real close with and still keep in contact with
Tons.
regularly?
I still get phone calls on my personal phone
Mm-hmm.
for work stuff.
Yeah.
And referring back to other jobs and,
Yeah.
and sales guys. And the industry is really small, so it's
Yeah.
easy to, hey, this is where you need to go.
That's awesome.
And that's funny that you said that, because being on the road, when I was a technician or I was in charge of equipment sales, whatever, doing installations or even repairing or anything like that, I'm a huge proponent of building those relationships, and the sales will follow. And
Yeah.
I think that's something that the industry shied away from for a little bit, because we want to see it. We want to see it now. Everybody's hungry.
Yeah.
Especially during these times, it's just craziness. So you don't really have that opportunity to do that. But going back to that, I would always, if I'm the guy that's there for their support, but I also have a role where I can sell, they're going to come to me first.
Yeah.
Because they already have their trust that I can come in, I can fix equipment, I
Right.
can do whatever.
And you're going to be
I need
honest
do.
with them too.
And I'm going to be
Yeah.
honest with them because ultimately I'm going to put them in the best position to succeed.
Right.
Because number one, it only benefits me. But number two, who are they going to call
Yeah.
when something goes wrong?
Ghostbusters?
Me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
You.
but them too.
You.
So it was kind of an interesting role because I would say, here, purchase this piece of equipment, and if I sold them a material that I didn't believe in or knew wasn't going to work, they would call me back and say, okay, well, why would you tell me to
Yeah.
sell me this product?
Yeah.
You sold me this piece of equipment. So, but I like the fact that you built so many relationships, and like you said, the industry is so close knit
Yeah.
that everybody knows something that can do something within this industry,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that. So
Well, it's perfect examples. I've heard of you, but we just met
Yeah.
15 minutes ago actually 20 minutes ago before we started recording.
Yep.
So it is. It just shows you how tight the industry is. But I imagine that the technological advances over time too has either made it easier or has hindered, your ability to have those personal relationships. I mean, where do you go? Because you're basically Rolodexing it on the road early on in your career, and now you go to where you can Google T-shirt shop and you're going to get 500 within a mile. What are you going to say?
hang on, because he didn't roll it. He may have Rolodex, but I know specifically that he would have to stop with the laptop on the
Yeah.
passenger seat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I used some antiquated mapping software that I kept track of all of my customers on there.
Yeah.
And I could literally hang a GPS, an old-fashioned GPS that plugged in on a USB cord, and it would hang off my passenger seat, and every now and then it'd fall down, and I'd have to pull over and put it back so I could get a signal.
Yeah.
But that was a great system because I could really look over at my passenger seat, and I could see, okay, here's where I'm at. These are the next targets that I could go if I had time.
Yeah.
And then all my priority ones were already laid out.
Yeah.
It was a great way. It saved a ton of time from the old paper maps and just list of customers. This is where I'm going.
Yeah.
And geez, I hope I can find something else.
And that's good too. What'd you do? You broke something?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
All right. Well, good. And
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're
All
good.
that matters.
Awesome. Good. The nice thing is too about that is that you're almost using you're using whatever you have to your advantage. Whether it's going in a hotel room and ripping pages out of a phone book, or figuring out some way to rig up basically a cop shop in your car,
right,
so that you have the ability to hit that next step. But I mean, do you find that later in your career that benefited you a little bit more as technology started to obviously advance in itself? Did it make it a little bit more simplistic to get those same tasks done, or do you find yourself kind of going back?
It was a high. It really added to productivity for the day, right? And now there's so many other things that are much more capable that you just save even a few more minutes every time some new advance comes out.
Right.
But when you say simplistic, it is. I used to know. Driving around Memphis, I knew cities or roads, and I knew landmarks.
Mm-hmm.
Now with GPS, I don't pay attention to any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I just look at my map and go, oh, in 2 miles I got to turn right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what the name of the road is or anything like that.
Yeah.
So years ago, and my wife used to just say, you're driving everywhere because you know where everything is. And it would just amaze her. Well, now we go to these same cities 10 years later, and she's like, you used to know where this stuff is. GPS wrecked me.
Well, I did the same thing. I used to work for we're going to go down a list of chronicles of my past jobs, but I used to deliver chips for a living. And like being in a truck, 14 hours of windshield time, you just learn everywhere. I mean, every single place you go, you have it mapped out. And I remember my very first phone number. But that's also another thing that's lost too, is that because you have a cell phone, you can just plug everything in. You don't even remember those.
Right.
It's kind of crazy.
That's funny. So you had mentioned Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee.
Yeah.
I believe you went further south.
Yeah. From there, I had pretty much tapped out at my internal challenges in the territory. I knew it. I was comfortable. And then something opened up down in the southeast region. It was a much bigger territory. It had been kind of left and neglected for a couple of years. So I saw it as another chance to kind of start over, do it again. And you want those chances where you can go, hey, if I got to do it again, what would you do different, right?
Yeah.
So this was it. It was an internal challenge that I had. And I covered basically from South Carolina all the way over to Louisiana.
Yeah.
So
that's
it's a huge territory.
I'm just trying to map that out in my head.
It's a lot of Waffle Houses.
Your entire chip
It's
route.
40,000 Waffle Houses.
40,000 Waffle Houses.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that is 40,000 Waffle Houses. But so talk about that a little bit. Now you're not getting in the car and driving to Louisiana.
No.
Is it flights week on, week off?
Yeah, it was still week on, week off. And it was, I flew a lot to Atlanta, and then I would plan a week out from there. And then occasionally when I could get cheaper flights, I would pick the odd places, Jackson, Mississippi, or even New Orleans. That was kind of tough to get to at times. Myrtle Beach, in the winter you can get cheap flights there, so it was great to fly into Myrtle Beach and then work all the way down to Hilton Head or Savannah, and go farther north up into Spartanburg and Greenville and that kind of thing. So,
well, as well as I, you fly into those small airports, you could be in trouble.
Gets a little rough.
Comes through. I've been stranded in Mississippi. I think I was down there for 3 days before that airport opened up.
Really?
So you want to hit the bigger, the Atlantas if you can. Atlanta's huge, obviously, but so talk about that and how it week on, week off. You've got a family, I know that.
Yep.
You know them.
Absolutely.
How does that affect? Without getting too far into your personal life, how did that affect you in a negative or positive way?
That's a great question. So, my wife and I, we talked about the travel stuff early on, and she was all for it. She really is a godsend for that. and it's trying. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Week on, week off, especially with my kids when they were really young. I missed out on a lot of personal things that I tried not to. My daughter, I think, was my daughter's my oldest, and she really didn't like me traveling.
Yeah.
When I would leave for a week, it would take her 2 or 3 days just to warm up to me again.
Really?
So.
And this is when she was real
little,
yeah.
2, 3 years
Yeah.
old. For Father's Day on her second birthday was a gift to me. She finally called me Dada.
Really?
I was always Mama.
Oh,
So
really?
I
Mom was
still get
Mama.
called Mama sometimes,
Yeah,
actually. It's
Mom
kinda
was
fun.
Mama. Dad was Mama. And
Oh,
not till
wow.
Father's Day did I get the Dada.
Wow.
So
That's an awesome memory.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great memory. But what you suffer going all the way up to that,
The sacrifices in between, yeah.
You know, I look back on it now and it's like, you know what? I provided something great for my kids.
Yeah.
I was there for just about everything that was crucial.
Yeah.
And I really did have the flexibility to kind of work my schedule.
Yeah.
Where if I needed a couple weeks at home because things were going on, it worked out.
Yeah,
So I didn't miss, first steps or anything like that.
Yeah.
Good.
Birthdays or all that stuff I got. Important school events,
Yeah.
concerts, all that stuff I
Yeah.
made.
And that
So
was
clearly, I'm sorry,
No, you're
but
good.
clearly it worked out, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
you were able to gain a ton of knowledge, gain a ton of relationships with customers, advance your career, and able to balance that home life. That's something I respect a lot.
Yeah.
And you may not know this, but I looked up to Russ a lot in our former, our past life, so to speak.
Yeah.
But he was kind of a mentor to me, and I had wanted to get in that type of role.
Right.
And one thing you always said to me is, he said, you have to balance the work, the travel, and the home life. And
Yeah.
I would always say, I got it, Russ. Don't
Yeah,
worry
it's
about
great.
it. I got it.
Travel's
I got it."
awesome. Yeah.
It's awesome, but I got it. And you kept honing on that to me, and it took a while. And I think it does take kids, probably.
Yeah.
But now my daughter is going to be 2, and I do realize that if this was a different world and we weren't in this pandemic or whatever, it would be hard to
Oh, yeah.
get up and leave.
Right.
And I respect you looking out for me on that, but yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. I was actually going to say that Johan's probably yelling at the, his phone or whatever he's listening or watching to on right now, because he tells me that all the time. Be here a little bit past, whenever I'm supposed to leave, and he's like, go home, man.
Yeah.
It's important.
Don't make this your life, but don't make it your life. And it's, interesting enough, because like we found out in other episodes, obviously I was in the mortgage industry.
No kidding.
No. But that was one thing. I left one place to go to another, and really the sole purpose was I was missing out. And it was actually kind of interesting enough. It's like when I interviewed here, it was something that was hammered home really, really hard. Like, listen, man, you're going to travel. You're going to be doing some traveling. You got to make sure you have your ducks in a row. Is everybody okay with this? And Amanda and I sat down, my wife, and we talked a little bit about, what potentially could that mean. And I'm just really happy that now, in this day and age, is that there's things like Zoom and Skype and phone calls every day and FaceTime, and there's the ability to not have to miss those things. So I pay homage to anybody in your position that, like, during the times where your kids are super young and you're figuring it out, you're struggling to obviously keep your home life the best that it can be, but also providing for a family. It gets tough. It really does. It gets tough even not being on the road.
Yeah. Well, and years ago, travel there was some romance to it. It was kind of nice.
Yeah.
9/11 hits, and things really go downhill. And then travel now is really not very romantic.
It's not what it used to be.
And I used to tell my wife, I said, when you're traveling, I'm coming home to a hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
It's concrete walls and a window, right? It's a glorified prison cell is really what it is.
Yeah.
And she didn't believe me. She, I'm traveling, I'm still going out, I'm having fun.
She thinks you're having the time of your life.
Yeah, and I finally worked it out so where she got to come with me to a trade show.
Yeah.
And so we went, and she went and did her own things during the trade show.
Yeah.
Because she's saw that, and said, I don't want to do this all day.
Yeah, well, she probably realized how taxing it really is. And
So
I don't know if
it
people know
took
that,
her
but
about
it's a
5
lot.
minutes to figure that one out.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So she's off, and then she does her own thing, and we meet up after the show ends, and we're at a hotel bar, and all the guys that I'm working with and ladies are sitting around the hotel bar, and we're drinking and just kind of unwinding from the trade show day. And my wife comes in, I grab her and do her little highs and buys, and we go out to eat. We come back, and everybody's still sitting at the bar.
Yeah.
So that never happens. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's, and
there's a couple stories for that after dark episode.
There's another one there, right? So my wife is gracious enough. It's a long day, but we have a drink or two, and then we go upstairs, and we're in the room, and she's like, "Is that all they do?" Yeah, because we're worn out from the trade show.
Yeah.
We eat dinner, we sit and we unwind as much as we can, and then we go back to our rooms.
Yeah.
Watch TV.
She says, "This is no fun." I said, "I've been telling you that for years." She never asked to go again. She never criticized me for travel, just except for now, right?
Yeah.
In the middle of this pandemic, she's, "I can't wait for you to travel."
Yeah.
So,
I noticed that.
She's willing to pack my bags and everything. So.
Well, and the funny thing is, whether just your spouse, whether husband or wife, there's also a part of you too that when you're separated for that time, like you want to be. I feel like I'm 150% when I hop off the plane and I finally get to walk in my house.
Right.
And it's not to say that kids or family, drains you or anything like that, but like you're in the hustle and bustle of your day-to-day job, and then you go home. So it's almost, you're in controlled chaos to controlled chaos, and like when you get off the plane and go home. Like that makes you feel rejuvenated in a way,
right.
It's
something
like
special.
it's It's like taking that B12 shot, like you just something perks you up, and you're excited to be home. You're finally excited to be with your family, and there's something to that, and it's cool that she got to experience your side, to understand that like it's not really like every time you're calling me, I'm probably at the bar or I'm at a casino or I'm somewhere, but. It's also because of the fact that like I'm unwinding for the day because I just had a 14-hour day in a trade show booth on my feet all day talking to hundreds of people, and I gotta find something to just kind of unwind for a little bit,
Right.
So.
Well, are we done tugging on people's heartstrings?
Yeah,
Jeez.
I don't have a good job for that. No, it's good, but it's important. It's important for people to hear that, man, because like a lot of times I think. Folks think that this is a big fun party, just like we talked about how we're not all cutthroat. It's not necessarily always a big fun party all the time. Sometimes there's a lot of hard work that goes into it.
Not sometimes, all the time. There's a lot of
hard work that goes into it. So it's important for people to understand, whether it's spouses of people that travel, but it's also important for people that come to trade shows to understand that, like, if I'm not 100% on my game, I apologize. Like, I've been, I got off of a plane, right to a trade show. I had to set up a booth for 3 hours. Then I got to finally go home or go to the hotel or go to the B&B or whatever. Got to relax for a little bit. And I'm right back there at, 8 in the morning to go do this trade show for 3 days. It gets taxing, Yeah, for sure. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take a quick break? Everybody can chill out, and then we'll come back, and I want to talk about SanMar. Cool. This episode of the Decorate Podcast is brought to you by Caesar North America. Caesar North America is a world leader in heat transfer vinyl as well as pressure sensitive vinyl. And listen, guys, I use Caesar products in all of my personal business, and I can tell you that the quality and longevity is simply unmatched. If you want to learn more about Caesar North America, simply go into the App Store, download the Caesar North America app, and don't forget to hit the drop-down menu and click Find a Distributor to find out where you can find Caesar products today. Alrighty, so let's just hop right back into it, okay?
Cool.
There we go. That's loud enough, I think. All right, Russ, SanMar. Let's talk about it.
What's up?
So, kind of give everybody a rundown too. I mean, we had the first half of this was really cool to talk about, traveling and different things like that. But talk about SanMar in a way that exactly what the basis of what SanMar is kind of built on, because it's interesting to me is that like you have other companies that do offer garments and blanks and stuff, but a lot of them you don't necessarily have like a lot of them you don't have a work ID or to EIN number or whatever it has to be to get that thing. So talk about what that account profile needs to be or why that's even there.
So SanMar's a little bit different in the fact that they're really trying to make their business about doing business with other businesses.
Right, partnering,
so
like true partnership.
It's true partnership, absolutely. And it all comes back really to the core values, their family values. Mm-hmm. They've got 5 core values of, number 1 is just be nice.
Yeah.
It's as cliche as it sounds, that's really the number 1 thing.
Yeah.
They expect you to be nice to each other, to your customers, just in general. Be nice, right? and then the other ones are invest in each other, right? So I might have a territory, but somebody else has got another territory.
Yeah.
I can help them out. They can help me. And we're all customers of each other inside the company. So lots of that as far as that type of mentality, and it really is. SanMar's a family-run business. Been there to be 50 years next year.
Wow,
so,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and really looking forward to that celebration.
I bet. Where's our invite?
Yeah,
right,
exactly. I'm still hoping I get one.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Well, and what I really like about SanMar, you're absolutely right. I mean, like the customer service aspect of SanMar. I mean, I've never sent an email to anyone that works there and not received an email back within maybe 15 minutes, maybe half hour. If they're like, hey, I'm really sorry, I was trying to take lunch and eat today, no big deal. You know what I mean? So I think that's super important. But talk about more or less because SanMar is also, if I'm not mistaken, is a manufacturer as well.
Correct. Yes.
So there are certain brands within SanMar that are attributed to your manufacturing.
Right. So in a sense of trying to provide everything to everybody, right? Because nobody can really do that, but there's what we call the mill brands, right? That's the Gildans, the Fruit of the Looms, the big companies in the world, the big players in the world, I should say. Outside of that is we saw a need that we could fulfill.
Yeah.
And I say we, I'm still the new guy there.
That's okay.
Years,
No,
so
you are
part of the we are the
family.
they. Yeah.
But I am the they. But
I am the they.
I am the they.
I am the they.
Did I tell you that my father was an English professor?
Yeah. I am the day. Seize the day.
Seize the day.
But no, I mean really. I just lost where we were going.
So you were talking about the fact that number one, there's the big mill companies.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like
we had the
Gildan
mill.
and
You got the mill companies, and everybody's got those shirts. Well, we saw a need or a way to stay in touch with the market and provide a similar product at a better price.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it all started.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of branched out from there. And we have our own brands like Port Authority, Port and Company, Cornerstone for workwear and things like that. So and then we have retail brands to kind of go along with those. So we offer like a good, better, best scenario. So yeah.
How many facilities do you know off the top of your head?
We have 8 warehouses across the country.
Wow,
really?
So that's our distribution centers. So
That's awesome.
HQ is Washington?
Yeah, Issaquah, Washington, just outside of Seattle.
Issaquah.
Cool.
Just outside of Seattle.
Yep. Oh, the new Seattle Kraken.
Release the Kraken. That's awesome. Can't wait to go see a game.
Yeah,
Right.
me too.
And the cool part about just having spread out, and this might have been by design too. I imagine most businesses it's by design, but you're putting an order in. You expect that order in a couple days, no matter where you're at in the U.S. You know what I mean? And so that's like something super important to somebody like myself who owns a business and is an end user. I'll give it away that yes, I'm a client, but just we haven't mentioned it on any of our other things. So anyways, but as that happens, it's like 2 days I can expect my order to be in.
Right.
So then my box of T-shirts that are all jumbled up by sizes and colors, I know somebody's got my back. No big deal.
So, with that said, what are some of the more popular garments or garment styles that you're seeing right now? I know we went on a performance wear kick. It seemed like 4 or 5 years ago is when that really started taking off.
Yeah, polyester and technical fabrics are still the thing. They're
Still
the rage.
trendy.
Yeah.
But right now, there's really the big push is green.
Yeah.
We released our district Retee.
The
which is
Retee suite.
Yeah, it's a great shirt. Completely recycled material, recycled cotton fibers that are, and they're not re-dyed. So basically, we're taking cut fabric that would normally go to a landfill, and we're sorting it by color, mixing it with polyester, recycled bottles, and making shirts out of it.
That is awesome.
I got some
would love
upstairs.
to. I want to see those. I would love to see that process. That's so interesting.
How you go from just plastic to
Like hey, we're
T-shirt.
just going to throw this stuff in a giant machine and pumps out.
It's gonna pump out too.
It's all of us.
That's actually how it works.
Yeah.
Like just a big grinder that pumps out
It's the
T-shirts.
same thing for McDonald's. We got one that does T-shirts. They got one that does burgers. Whatever. So.
Well, that was a really cool thing. I put that Retee through the ringer when you guys first talked about it. We got a couple of samples of them.
Right.
And I mean, I heated that thing. Aside from setting that thing on fire, like acts exactly like a regular cotton T-shirt. I mean, there's no difference to me.
Wow.
No difference. Shrinkage isn't bad at
That's
all.
really cool.
It's actually a really, really awesome, awesome piece of apparel. So is District is one that you manufacture as well?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, who's kind of your biggest, or what would you think would be your biggest line? Because I'm used to seeing in, like, when I played high school sports, Port Authority was actually pretty big
Yep.
in the high school sports scene.
Yeah, and it's, Port Authority and Port Company, they're going to be the biggest, right? Because they're the T-shirts.
Yeah.
Followed by District, again, because they've got a great line of more of the fashion-oriented, real lightweight T-shirts. And they're great. I mean, I'm kind of on a District kick myself. I'm just wearing District T-shirts all the time.
Yeah.
That's my work attire now.
I like that.
Nice.
I like that. Is that a District T-shirt?
This is a T-shirt that was in my trunk.
That's what I was
had ink
hoping.
all over the shirt.
That's what I was hoping you would say. That's awesome. One thing I do want to get into is about the pandemic stuff. I want to talk about that because that was super important. I think we can spend a lot of time talking about that. Is that, obviously, well, first maybe you should just explain, how does life for you kind of change as we get into, January, February, March, aside from travel and anything else?
So, as it seems to go for me, I was traveling up until the Friday, and we get the phone call.
Oh, no.
We want you guys all home on Monday. No more travel. So,
wow.
right up until the week before, I'm out on the road. And that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
So, that's just seems to be the thing for me. I'm kind of the magnet to, if there's going to be flooding or a
Any
disaster,
kind of disaster.
I'm going to be traveling that
You're
day.
not.
Yeah.
Same thing. My daughter was young. There was a huge blackout that covered
I
2/3
remember
of the
that.
state.
I remember that.
Yeah, I was in Nashville. No power
Were you
outage,
really?
nothing.
You had AC.
Yeah, I had AC. Everything's working. My wife is in my house that's brand new. We're
All right,
like
I'd be
6 months.
pissed at that point.
She's
too.
got 2
You-
kids.
you're
They're
traveling.
barbecuing food out in the court
Oh,
because
God.
nobody's got refrigerators going. It's like, so.
It was that sucked. I remember that. I remember when that happened. I was working at remember Moravian Hills Golf Club.
Yeah.
I was working at Moravian Hills as a cart boy, and it all went out. And so everybody said, "Well, screw it. I'm going to go golfing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit in my house all day." So
Right.
everybody came out golfing.
All at once, huh?
Those weren't gas carts.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, really?
So we had to push all of them in that hot shed. It was not it was a rough day, but that lasted for like I think 7 days or something.
5 days,
maybe
yeah.
5
Was
days.
it 5 days?
It was a long time, and it was hot.
Really?
Yeah, it sucked. But
Glad I'm-
well,
glad I'm
speaking of
28.
that, and I was going to say this for a little bit later, but you were talking about disaster follows. You have a 9/11 story, don't you?
Oh, geez, yeah.
Uh-oh.
So, 9/11, I was actually flying in the air. So
Really?
I was in the air that morning, flying to the Fort Worth ISS show.
Did did they notify you over
Yeah, and again, going back, right? I went to school to be an aircraft mechanic, right?
Yeah.
So, flying doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
I've heard all kinds of things, and it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The pilot comes on, and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how to say this. I've never heard this before, but we've been ordered to land all aircraft. So all aircraft have to land in the United States."
So you know what that means.
Yeah, that's
maybe not
bad.
everybody else.
That's not
but
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we have to go back 180 degrees. So we have to go back the way we came to the first airport that can accommodate you.
Yeah.
So we were just over Shreveport,
Yeah.
almost there to Texas. We had to fly all the way back to Indianapolis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I imagine, there's a kind of a triage you got to think about. If there's 300 airplanes in the sky and only, 70 or whatever airports can take you on at that time.
Well, they've got to take on they've got to take on everybody.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. So
there's not a lot of space for airplanes.
Wow.
So what was that like? Was it pandemonium? I mean, when you landed, did people start to realize? Because we had text, I think then. And
We had phones, yeah. We had phones.
Well, we had our rotaries.
We had
We had a briefcase cell phones.
After I cranked the phone, it got the backpack.
But I think we did have text capabilities and stuff to where when you landed, you would get an SMS or something like that.
So, yeah, it was still, you couldn't get a signal on a plane. But when we landed back at Indianapolis, and they have a huge post office tarmac.
Yeah.
So planes were just stacking up, and you could look out the window and just see plane after plane after plane just coming in. Well, while we're on the ground, the pilot says, if you have a cell phone, because not everybody did then.
Right. Yeah.
Call your loved ones.
Okay.
Wow.
So, and then
might have got silent there.
and and then you hear all these conversations, right?
Really?
Yeah.
We're under attack. The world's coming to an end. Squirrels are invading. I mean,
You're trapped in a plane.
Yeah, you're trapped in a plane. You're hearing a multitude of stories. Nobody really knows what's going on. It was still like 8:30 in the morning, 8:40, probably close to 9 when we landed there. But it was later, and things were still kind of confusing. One of the towers was still up at that point.
Yeah.
So
this had to have been like 9:20 or 9:30 in the morning or so.
None of that even makes any sense to anybody.
Yeah.
And at that time, prior to all this, there were lockers in airports. You had banks of lockers. Mm-hmm. So if you were going for an overnight or whatever and you wanted to leave stuff, you could put stuff in the old lockers.
Really?
So, when your mind starts going, right? And we were one of the first ones to come back, and I think we were the third or fourth plane to unload. Now, when we unloaded, it was one plane at a time to the farthest gate at a terminal.
Right.
And they had businessmen staggered throughout the terminal as you walk through. These are all guys with suits and briefcases, and they're watching all of us walk through.
Yeah, so that's intimidating.
Yeah. And when you get to the end of the terminal, they have this cyclone gate pulled with barely enough room, and there's an armed police officer there, a uniformed police officer, and another one of these businessmen. And then somebody holding the gate. So you kind of got to finagle your way through these guys, and then you go and try and get the heck out of the airport. Well, we weren't planning on being in Indianapolis, so we don't have a car, we don't have anything.
Right.
So we scramble, get over to the rental car place, and if you weren't going to return the car that day, you weren't going to get one.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, so they didn't want you keeping it. They wanted to know where all their property was at the end of the day. So we managed to get a car, and as we're waiting in line, people are getting cars. I got a van, I can take 4 to Connecticut. People are just flocking to each other. It was great to see, but scary at the same time, right? And I was traveling with one of my colleagues, and all she wanted to do was just get away from people.
Yeah.
Let's just get out of the airport. Let's get away from
as far as you can,
all this congestion and get to where it's normal. So we managed to get a car, and another one of our colleagues was in Chicago. Yeah. He was in a limousine getting ready to jump out, or a Metro car, or whatever you want to call it, to get on the plane and go back home.
Okay.
Well, he doesn't leave. He doesn't get out of the car, because if he doesn't get out, he still owns that car. So he's still renting it.
Oh,
really?
So, smart man.
Yeah, well then, like 4 or 5 guys jump in from Rhode Island or somewhere on the East Coast, and they start bribing the driver to take him across the country.
Wow.
And
really?
That is crazy.
So my colleague at the time, he says, well, you guys can do that, but you got to drop me off so my counterparts can pick me up. They dropped them off in Fort Wayne.
Wow.
We picked them up there.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and we were there at a rrestaurant there, and that was the first time that we got to see
that's what I was going
what
to ask.
exactly
When
happened.
did you first
That was like 8 o'clock at night.
Really?
So by the time we got everything there, it was a little early. It was probably 6.
Yeah.
So it was at night. We were sitting there waiting for him. He gets dropped off, and we're watching it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
First chance we get to see it.
Yeah.
So
do you instantly think in your head, you're like, that could have been my plane? Like, that could have been
absolutely, right? And there's all the conspiracy theories about
Right.
how many more there were.
Right.
So if you look at that, we were flying across the country. We weren't going north and south. We were or east and west. We were going north and south.
Yeah.
Still same size plane, same amount of fuel roughly. Everything was about this. Could it have been? Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Never know now.
No.
Well, we're glad you're here with us on the podcast.
Well,
Me too, man.
It's funny that's a crazy story, by the way, but it's also refreshing. Like, you see people in line saying, "Hey, I can grab 4. I can grab 4."
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's something we're missing now, and I think it's a different time and it's a different circumstance.
Yeah.
But I think we need to get there.
Right.
We need that camaraderie. Everybody knows exactly where that when 9/11 hit. Everybody knows. It's like I had a project when I was in school when I was younger. Ask your grandparents where they were when JFK was assassinated.
Really?
Right. They all know.
They all know
Everybody
exactly
knew
where they're at, what they were doing, 100%.
And not to date either of you, but I was in 5th grade.
I was in high school.
When JFK was there?
No, not JFK.
What are you, Benjamin Button?
What do you think? I'm getting older. No, I was in 5th grade. I remember actually, not funny story, but my brother left for basic training 9/11.
Oh, wow.
So I remember he left, and this podcast is taking a turn, but I love it. It's fine.
Leaving your loved ones traveling,
yeah.
9/11 stories.
This is for the summer episode of the Decorate Podcast.
We're done after this, I promise.
I promise, yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to tie it into something, so we'll be okay. I remember, he left for basic that morning. My mom took me out of school early in the morning. It was probably 9:30 or so, 9:40. We went out to lunch, and she couldn't get a hold of my brother, because at that time, he didn't have a cell phone. He was an 18-year-old kid going off to basic. So she's freaking out. My aunt's freaking out. We're watching everything on TV, and I remember very, very vividly, what was going on, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I'm in 5th grade. And I remember we came home, and, my mom's obviously, she doesn't know what to think at the time. We come home, I walk in the door, and I hear somebody fart. My brother was sleeping on the couch. They released him early. They didn't actually make it. Yeah, they didn't actually make it to the airport yet. Everything happened before they got to the airport. The bus turned around. They sent everybody home. They said, "We're gonna come. We'll replan this day or something."
Crazy times.
So, but I do like the fact that you can talk about how much people came together, because I think something really important to touch on, especially what SanMar's doing right now, is the fact that when the pandemic hit, we had a huge outcry for people to help, and just to be proactive and, making masks and PPE kits and stuff. And that's something that SanMar kind of just flipped their production, right, from my understanding, and just went straight to production of face masks. Is that right?
Yeah, so within days of everything really dropping off, there was a coalition of manufacturers, and SanMar was one of the fortunate ones to be involved with fulfilling a contract for the government when all the mask shortage was going on.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't really know the number, but it was close to $1 billion.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of masks.
Wow.
So you've got companies that are completely changing. They're not making shirts anymore. They're just making masks.
Yeah.
So, and we're still making masks like mad. And the challenge now is transportation. Right?
Yeah.
The aviation industry, again, is cutting back on flights.
Yeah, the logistics, all that's crazy.
All those flights carried cargo. So not just passengers, they carried cargo.
Right.
So when you start cutting that stuff back, it's a lot harder to move product around the world.
Right.
So, challenges now are a little bit different.
Yeah.
And, we were talking earlier, 5 million masks.
Yeah, 5.7, I think it was 5.7 million masks that was dropped off, right?
In a plane, one plane.
Oh, one plane, okay.
We chartered a 747-400 and filled it end-to-end with nothing but masks.
Did that go to a specific destination, or was that just being
went to
dropped?
one of our warehouses.
Okay, I was going to say that, so it was going out to distribution. And it's already incredible enough to see the production line of somewhere like SanMar, where it's just, 300 sheets of material laid out and everything's kind of cut together, and, all the molds are done together. And just to see that cargo plane just shows, how important it is to have companies like SanMar and to have people, in the industry that are willing to kind of step up and help. And one of the coolest things that we talked about in the first episode is just, small end users that started jumping right away, went to their nearest Joann's or Michael's or wherever they could get material, and immediately started making masks and started trying to help in any way that they can. I got a couple of those masks upstairs, actually, I think.
Oh, I could use one today.
Sorry.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, how about we start some segments?
Let's do some segments.
All right. Let's liven it up a little bit.
All right. Hit me.
This or that, Mr. Corey.
All right. I'm going to vary your this and that, too. We'll do yours first, and then I'll throw a little curveball at you.
Oh, okay. I like that. Okay.
I'll strike out real quick.
Yeah.
So, moisture wicking or dry fit? And what the hell is the difference?
I love this question.
So, really, there is no difference.
I knew it.
Dry fit is Nike's term.
Yeah.
So that's their word.
I'll give you $20 later.
And
if you
fit,
like it.
the fit part of it is their brand identifier, right?
Performance, right.
So they have their ThermaFit, their
Mhm.
Dry Fit, and whatever the next ones
The
would
coin,
be.
yeah.
Right. And it's all part of that technical fabric that, the Dry Fit is the moisture wicking side.
Mhm.
ThermaFit is the heat retention side. And they put a lot of R&D money into those kind of fabrics.
Yeah.
But that's really it in a nutshell.
Because
So,
it's funny. The reason I asked that is they've done such a good job at branding themselves that people will say, even if it's a moisture wicking, they'll
Yeah.
call it Dry Fit.
yeah, it's got to be
Yeah.
Dry Fit. I
You
got to
know,
have Dry Fit.
Yeah.
And they don't understand that is really proprietary to Nike.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can go to Walmart, like you mentioned before, or even Meijer, and you get a performance, moisture wicking type of shirt, and they say, well, no, this is Dry Fit. Well,
You call SanMar, we'll get
Yeah.
you some moisture wicking shirt.
There you go.
And we'll get you Dry Fit too. We got that too.
perfect. See,
That's
so I
perfect.
they
Dirty
knew
plug.
there was no difference. They knew
Nice.
it. You owe me $20, please.
Yeah.
I'll hook you
Oh,
up.
there we go.
So
we-
what's your spin on this?
So I brought a little product. I
Okay.
brought the OGO Vault.
Okay.
And you guys are tech savvy.
Yeah.
So, and you're hip, and now I figured I'd bring a little product that
Is
would
this a
kind
man
of
bag?
fit
We
you
got
guys.
we got
this a man
presents, man.
It's a man bag. It's a
Check
cool
this
little
out.
bag that you could put your cords, your battery chargers.
This is awesome.
That is smart.
I have one. I love it.
Going on the road.
Yep,
We're going on the road.
it's a road thing. So
We are going to bring our equipment straight to the 50th anniversary of SanMar. Broadcast live there.
There you
Maybe we'll
go.
get Murph on, huh?
yeah, get Murph. Call Murph for that. Hey, pull some strings.
This is a call out to Jason Murphy at SanMar.
So here's my challenge to you guys on the this or that.
Okay.
You guys have some wonderful products at your disposal.
Okay.
Bags are typically a challenge to decorate.
Okay.
I challenge you both to decorate it, and then in your future this and that ones, show them up, and who take a vote on who did it better.
Okay.
Oh, I like it.
I like that a lot. We'll
So
put
there
a
you
poll.
go,
We'll put a
fellas.
poll up on social.
Yep.
I already
There you
have.
go.
I already have something to decorate this with.
You're
I
gonna
already
have
know
that-
what I want.
All right, good.
Well, it's swinging for the
So I
fences.
figured that would be a
I
great way to
appreciate that.
use your resources, and
That's awesome, and it's an awesome gift.
Yeah,
we
thank
will
you
use
so
them,
much.
seriously.
I did like the this and that segment earlier ones, so
Yeah.
I figured, this is a good idea.
Yours will say this, mine will say that. Design it that
Okay, we can do that.
way.
Don't you maybe have something over there?
Oh yeah, we can't.
Let's sneak-
We can't just get gifts and not receive.
Yeah, right.
Oh, come
We
on.
can't receive and not give, is what you mean.
Like Santa Claus would.
Well, like something with Santa Claus. I think Chad got you something.
Oh, boy.
So, unfortunately, we're still at work. Otherwise, it might be a Pirate Friday.
Oh,
Yeah,
there we
that
go.
means-
We need Pirate Fridays.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know.
Listen,
We
I
should
heard about-
disclose
I
what
did-
Pirate Fridays were.
Don't
but,
disclose that, and I'll put a teaser out there that I did hear about a certain casino story.
Oh, jeez. Well,
So-
there's plenty of stories.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And was confirmed by another human being, so I know it actually
There's
happened.
several here that can confirm that stuff.
Let's keep the stories to a minimum. Huh?
That's an after dark.
That's an
dark.
Yeah,
after
right.
dark. After dark, we've got the vault in Long Beach. Remember those?
Oh yeah.
The Irish bar there.
Uh-huh.
We have presented you with something that you probably presented us with.
Yeah, wait, is this?
It's an OGO.
It is an
Thank you.
OGO.
Your very own Decorate podcast.
Awesome.
By the way, this is the very first one ever made.
Sweet.
Not first
First
OGO,
OGO?
but
I was
first.
gonna say, I think that's probably
first
the
This
same
is the
piece of
first
merch.
podcast. There it
It's
is.
probably decorated really poorly. Don't worry about that. I think Patrick.
And
But-
I would
and
expect nothing less from you, Chad.
Thanks.
I also got a gift.
Oh my
man.
gosh.
It is the key to my 2006 Ford Fusion. Come on down, you win a prize. Yeah.
That's freaking awesome. I don't
No,
think
but
you
we-
can make that many windshield stamps
No,
or whatever you call
but we appreciate these, and we really appreciate you hanging out with us, man.
Absolutely.
This is fun.
No,
I appreciate the shirt.
We've got one more favorite though.
Okay,
Or,
we'll do
one
that.
more segment real quick. We need to know what's your favorite. So, if you have one, what's your favorite story from the road?
Oh,
If you don't have one, we'll wrap it up and we'll say, what's your favorite restaurant? Or what's your favorite meal from the road?
Yeah.
Oh well, restaurant. My favorite restaurant is always like a local flavor or something that you can't get anywhere
I was
else.
gonna say, if it's not the Long Beach taco truck, then we're having the wrong.
Well,
I've heard about this
There
thing.
is the taco truck.
Yeah.
That is one, right? That's one you live for.
Yeah.
But probably my favorite is one of my customers down in Louisiana recommended me to go to this place to go eat. And they're like, you gotta go here, tell them that Mr. Skipper sent you. Okay, I'm going.
It's always a tight fit when somebody
Yeah.
says, "Hey, tell them that Piggy sent you."
Yeah,
tell them
exactly.
Piggy sent you.
You know you're set up for success.
And I pull up, and I'm looking at this place, and it looks like there's a yard sale out front. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is not a restaurant.
Yeah.
And I got to remind myself that it's Louisiana. If they serve food, chances are it's good.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the only way you're surviving. So I go in there and I tell the lady, it's like, yeah, Mr. Skipper sent me. She's like, oh, honey, grab a seat over there. She says, if you want a beer, they're over in the fridge, and they have these two like 1950s style
That's
metal
awesome.
fridges. You just go over, grab a beer, go back and sit down.
Yeah, it's my favorite restaurant.
Yeah. And at the end, she's like, "Oh, how many beers you have?" And
Yeah.
the food was phenomenal. I ate shrimp. I think I had 2 extra dinners there.
Really?
Yeah, the food was phenomenal.
That's
and they had
awesome.
like that 1970s green AstroTurf floor.
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah, it was. You're
So
looking at this
it's-
place going, I don't know, and
It's made with love.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'd go back and find that place again, time and time again.
Really?
So, yeah, and
You're like the Guy Fieri of.
yeah, I'll roll the
management.
dice. Just,
Yeah.
we'll try it. If I survive, we'll go back.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's, So,
That's awesome.
yeah, the taco truck in Long Beach, absolutely.
Well, we just.
I like that.
Let's just call it convenient.
It's
Yeah.
If you're.
Wait a
if
minute.
you've been partaking in events after hour, it's a convenient place, but the food is really good.
The taco, I feel like it was inside the.
It's always right in front of the convention center.
Yeah, but I feel like it was inside the convention center last time we went.
It was raining. Right?
Ah,
Yeah.
I feel like they were parked because we
Not
were.
only was it raining, it was that the year it like flooded. Remember
think
that
so,
was
yeah.
like 2-3
Yeah,
years
I thought they
ago.
brought the trucks in the back over there.
over where the stadium is.
Yeah.
Like the stadium
Well,
side or
you've only
whatever.
been here a year, so
That was
you didn't-
last year. It was in there because our booth was actually in the smaller half.
I wasn't at ISS last year, so I think it flooded like 3 years ago. It was bad, like to the point where we had to leave
Yeah.
early,
Yeah.
otherwise we weren't getting out of there because the freeways, it's like
Yeah.
traffic. But if those flood at all, bye bye.
Yeah, well, because you guys were in the main hall. Then you passed through where the cafeteria area is.
Mhm.
It's where Ryanette normally sets up, and then you go into like the basketball arena.
Right.
And they were parked all the way along the backside of the basketball arena by the shipping docks.
I don't know what their name is, but it is good food, so we'll give them a shout out.
All right, shout out to you guys. Dave probably knows.
Yeah, somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody remembers the
Somebody
name.
knows something.
Alrighty.
Big black taco truck.
Yep,
That's
can't miss it.
That's it. All right, well, we appreciate you hanging out with us, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
guys
much,
guys.
for coming on. Appreciate
Chad.
it.
As always, it's fun,
Peace out.
and we love you guys.
See you
See you later.